In the Trump effect this week, we saw two very different sides to North Korea. On this day, the presumed remains of 55 American soldiers killed in the Korean War arrived in the United States after being released by Kim Jong-un. The bones now have to be tested and identified. The repatriation of these remains was part of an agreement made between President Trump and Kim Jong-un in Singapore in June. Kim also agreed during that summit to work towards denuclearization. Yet just 2 days ago, the Washington Post reported that U.S. spy agencies are seeing signs that the North is still constructing new missiles at a factory that produced the country's first intercontinental ballistic missiles. Despite that report, President Trump on Tuesday praised the diplomatic gains made with Kim Jong-un.
There's been no nuclear testing. There's been no missiles or rockets flying beautifully over Japan. I think our relationship is very good with Chairman Kim, and we'll all see how it all works out.
Let's bring in Kenneth Vecchio, political and legal strategist, and Jeannie Zaino, professor of political science at i24 College. And Jeannie, I want to start with you because it was a year ago when North Korea was firing missiles and launching an ICBM. They haven't done it in something like 10 months. Isn't that an accomplishment for the Trump administration?
No, an accomplishment for the Trump administration would be if they had stopped and pulled back on their program and agreed to what the president claims that during the summit that they agreed to, but who everybody who knows what goes on in North Korea and the relationships between the two countries knew that that was absolutely an outlandish idea, that they were going to give up nuclear weapons. And I always tell my students something. People don't give up power, and that is the source of Kim Jong-un's power. They don't give it up unless they're forced. And unfortunately, we have a president who has not forced North Korea to do anything. In fact, he gave them the world stage. He's ensured that no other country has a reason to put sanctions on them because he said there's no reason because they're denuclearizing. So in fact, he's done exactly the opposite. This was a total win for Kim Jong-un and a total loss for President Trump.
Ken?
The Democrat talking points on this issue are, at this point, akin to laughable. What we need to do is look at two things. One, is North Korea an enemy of ours, a full-blown enemy, and are they a threat of nuclear war directed at us? Second, are they in the process of denuclearization? Now, we've had something that's happened with our president, meaning Trump, that's never happened in the history of modern times with U.S. presidents, in that we are in a step toward better relationships with North Korea. We're not allies with them, but we're at a step towards better relationships, which means that there is way less chance that they are an actual direct enemy of ours that will cause us to go to war.
I'll grant you a better personal relationship between the president and the chairman, but the Washington Post and U.S. intelligence agencies say that North Korea, not only are they building more missiles, but they have been caught talking about how to deceive the United States about denuclearization. Isn't that a problem?
Okay, I'm not trusting. I am not trusting on the two levels that I need to go through in order to believe what the Washington Post is reporting. I'm not saying
not just the Washington Post, but it's others. But anyway,
I'm not saying that the Washington Post and New York Times are definitively liars, but I'm very skeptical of their reporters in and of itself. Second, I have to believe who their sources are because they're almost never named. And I don't know what their sources' agenda is. So I don't believe in anything that they're reporting. I tend to believe at a much greater level what Mike Pompeo is saying. And he's told us that there's been no nuclear testing of bombs and missiles, that their engine facility for nuclear weaponry and missiles has been shut down. And okay, I know what you're going to say. I think I know what you're going to say, something about the nuclear fuel. But
the fissile material. He acknowledged in front of the Senate that, yes, they are building more fissile material, which can only be used for nuclear weapons.
Right, which is basically fuel, but it could be used for many other things, like nuclear energy.
Jeannie, how about it? Give the North Koreans a chance. They haven't done any more tests. The relationship is better between President Trump and Kim Jong-un.
I don't believe the relationship is better at all. The only person who's told us it's better is President Trump, who has gone out of his way to praise a brutal dictator. And by the way, the answer to your first question, the first of your Republican talking points, is we are not safer at all from North Korea. Not at all. Not a second since the president has taken. Why don't you look at the evidence that the natural... I mean,
am looking at the evidence.
You can sit here and say that you don't trust the Washington Post, the New York Times, but why don't you trust our own national security and intelligence? Every single person who has looked at the
every
data.
Single person?
Well, you can
These are a bunch of unnamed sources.
No,
you
they're
have
not.
to have read the same articles that I have because it says a State Department person, a Defense Department person.
For the record, the State Department spokesperson said we are aware of the reports. Well, they're not dismissing the reports. They're not saying they're wrong. They're just not commenting on them.
Satellite pictures, and you can look at what all the evidence is.
Let's put aside whether or not it's true or not for argument's sake. Let's just suppose that it is true. It is true that North Korea is building fissile material, that they're adding more missiles, that they're developing their nuclear program. That's a problem, isn't it?
Well, I respect Jeannie. I reject out of hand everything that she's saying because it's completely baseless information. I believe that we are in a that we are in a progress stage, and that the meeting between President Trump and Kim Jong-un is historic, and it's leading us in a direction of denuclearization. The fact that we've gotten our remains back, which haven't happened in about 11 years with American soldiers, that there's
POWs have come back.
Yep, there's been no nuclear missile testing. Engine facilities have been shut down. This is significant progress, and the reports that come in from some company that's taking photographs from outer space that says that there's people walking in and out of the facility.
Called the NSA. But in any case, Jeannie, the fact that there is a personal relationship, even if it's just between President Trump and Kim Jong-un, they do have the ability now to talk to each other in a way that in the past they were simply yelling at each other over Twitter or through official state media.
Yeah, and that was ridiculous as well. I mean, the president behaving like that is absolutely ridiculous. But let me just say, with all due respect to my friend Ken, he and Donald Trump are the only people in the universe who believe that we are safer now from North Korea than we were when President Trump took office.
Because you're sitting here with a guy right here, right now, who's viewing the same material that you are, and I feel like we're a lot safer. I feel that Donald Trump
What would it take to convince you that North Korea is developing nuclear missiles and that they're making the situation
He will never
less safe?
believe it until Donald Trump says so.
I am not unconvinced that there is no nuclear facilities still working and in place, but I do believe that we've made substantial progress and we're on the road to denuclearization, and we're on the road to this country not being a major enemy of ours.
I know that we are on the road to success anytime we have Ken Vecchio and Jeannie Zaino on our 9 p.m. stateside show. Thank you both. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Just ahead, a congressional candidate in Virginia apparently has not a foot fetish, but a Bigfoot fetish. We'll leave it to Steve Langford to explain this. Oh, my God. From Bigfoot to big hands? This bridge in Vietnam has a lot of support. Oh, come on. Cirque du Soleil is coming up.